Hello, everyone. We are going to have a few people joining us over the next few minutes for this webinar session on eBay International Shipping in Canada. We still have a couple hundred who have shown up early, so appreciate you all. Um, but just going to give a couple minutes. Maybe we can go over some housekeeping items as well while we get started. But if you want to start by throwing your name in the chat and where you're joining from, that's always interesting to hear. Um, on those housekeeping notes, should point out that this webinar is designed to go about an hour. We'll hope for a large chunk of that time to be dedicated to a Q&A session where we can answer any questions that you have directly. The chat section, you'll notice on the lower or upper bar, depending on your Zoom, there's a chat section and then there is a Q&A section. Going to recommend if you do have any questions or concerns that you want to make sure are addressed by myself or any of my colleagues that are going to be helping out over the course of this webinar, that you throw those in the Q&A section, just because we do have so many people who are joining for this webinar. It might be tough to keep track of any questions that show up in the chat. They can get buried pretty easily. So do keep an eye out there. If you do have any questions that you need to throw in the chat, if you can't find the Q&A section, toss them in the chat as well. We'll try our best to keep track as we go through. I'll be taking some notes as well of anything that I can address in person. Uh, my name is Luke Bradley. I'm the shipping and operations manager for eBay Canada, since everyone else is saying where they're from. I'm coming to you from Toronto, Ontario, but I'm uh, raised in Calgary. So really excited to be rolling this out to Canadian sellers. I've been one very, very small part of a really, really large team from across Canada and around the world who have been helping make this new program a reality for Canadian sellers. We've been really, really thrilled with the response so far. We've been thrilled with the interest from our sellers and the engagement in it. This webinar probably being a great example of that. We have hundreds and hundreds of sellers joining us from across Canada, which is really, really exciting. So again, if you do want to have your questions answered, if you have any questions that you want to make sure are addressed, throw them in the Q&A rather than the chat, because that would simplify us finding that question because it could otherwise get buried in the chat. Because of the number of attendees that we have here today, it is possible that we're not going to be able to get to every question, or in some cases, they're going to be sort of specific to your experience as a seller. There's going to be an issue that you want to flag. I want to remind you, and I will throw out some reminders in the slides. You can always reach out to EIS@ebay.ca. If you have any other questions, if there's anything that wasn't addressed during this webinar, I'm monitoring that. I have some other colleagues that are monitoring that. So would be happy to answer any further questions that we weren't able to get to during the session. We'll be able to answer at eis@ebay.ca. Also, if you have any concerns with the program, if there's anything you want to flag, if there's potential bugs or an experience that you look at and you think, you know what, there's something not quite right or not quite consistent with what you've described the experience as it's supposed to be here, you can always let us know through eis@ebay.ca. It's a really great platform. Other things to note, we are going to be recording this. We're going to upload it to our YouTube, but also just given the interest that we've had on this from Canadian sellers, I'm going to make sure that we're making presentations like this more of a regular occurrence over the next few weeks and months, whether they be us repeating this presentation that you're going to hear, or maybe just another open Q&A session so that we can engage directly with sellers. It's something I always enjoy doing, so we'll make sure that that's something that's available. If you have any friends or colleagues or other sellers who are interested, just know we will be hosting more of these. We will also have an AMA on Thursday in the eBay community. So you'll be able to answer any questions that you have through community.ebay.ca. Do participate in that. And we have heard some feedback from sellers who are more involved in the community that they'd love to see more of us, more of eBay within the eBay community forums for Canadian sellers, sort of engaging in questions about eBay international shipping. So we'd be happy to answer your questions there through the AMA. But with that in mind, I think we can kick things off. And we'll start just by running you through some of the contents today. I'm going to introduce you a bit to the program, what eBay International Shipping is and what it's supposed to offer for your business. We'll give an update on the status of the rollout. I know we've had a ton of questions from sellers over the past few weeks, fewer over the past week or so as we've added even more sellers. But still many, many questions about the rollout. When can we expect it to be finished? What's the eligibility criteria? If I haven't been opted in yet, am I just ineligible? We'll answer as many of those questions as possible for you there. And then we'll talk about how eBay International Shipping works and how you can build a strategy for your business with this new program that's available, how you can take advantage of some of the features that are available as part of it. Some of the characteristics of the program that might be important to keep in mind as you're building out an international shipping strategy with this new tool available to you, and how to integrate it into your existing shipping strategy, because we know that Canadian sellers are already often very well versed with shipping across borders and overseas. But we will hopefully dedicate as much time as possible to this Q&A session here so that we can answer some of your questions live. And we will, to the best of our ability, answer your questions as this session continues. So let's start by telling you a bit about eBay International Shipping. So it's an entirely new program for Canadian sellers, but it has existed in the US for some time, and we're able to leverage a lot of the learnings that we've had from the success of the US program and the team that's done such a good job supporting US sellers and accessing global buyers down south, able to leverage those learnings and now expanding it as a new program for Canadian sellers designed to help make accessing customers around the world simple and stress-free. So there are a lot of different benefits to using eBay International Shipping. We can go through just a few of them at very high level. The first thing is that it's simple. All you have to do as a seller once you make a sale through eBay International Shipping is to ship to our sorting facility in Mississauga. So when you get an order, when the buyer selects eBay International Shipping as their service, you're going to ship to our hub. It's in Mississauga. And once it arrives, we sort it, and then we cover the international shipping to send it to buyers currently in the US, European Union, United Kingdom, and Australia. So anywhere in the EU, UK, Australia, and the US. That's to start. Over the next few months in the near future, we're going to be working to expand that. Many of you might know that the US program has access to buyers in over 190 markets. That is our goal. We want to get to that as well. Second, we're going to handle the paperwork. A lot of sellers may have noticed over the past few months, the global trade environment, cross-border trade has gotten somewhat more turbulent, would be the delicate way of putting it. But with EIS, we're working to simplify that for our sellers. So we're going to collect any duties, import fees, tariffs. We're going to collect those from the buyer at checkout. They're going to be a separate line item when they use eBay International Shipping. We're going to handle customs clearance and everything required for us to get your item across the border, whether that's to the United States, to Germany, to the UK, anywhere that's currently covered by EIS. And we'll handle the international leg of shipping so that your only direct shipping costs are going to be to get that item to the hub in Mississauga. We also cover returns, and I've spoken with some of our marketing team about this part of the program on a number of occasions where the challenge for our marketing team has often been the too good to be true aspect. A lot of sellers hear that we're going to cover any returns after the item gets to the hub, and they ask, what's the catch? No catch. Any returns, shipping issues, or feedback related to your handling during the international leg, those are going to be handled by eBay once your item reaches the hub. So it's simpler, it's lower stress, and also it has additional protections for your international shipping. Finally, you're also going to save on fees. eBay International Shipping comes at no additional cost to you And we're going to waive the international sales fee, which can range from 0.3 to 0.5% for your international sales. We're going to treat it like a domestic sale. So we're going to waive that international sales fee. You're able to access all these protections and access a larger global network of buyers for no additional cost. So let's talk a little bit about the rollout. Having managed EIS at ebay.ca over the past month and a half or so, I can tell you that a lot of sellers have been really interested in when they're going to be eligible. So we are rolling it out in cohorts, programs of this size, just to make sure that there's a smooth launch experience. We do it in groups. So, start small and then slowly ramp up faster and faster as we ensure that the program is working. We've tested out various experiences. We've heard from sellers, made sure that, sellers in particular regions are able to are able to use the program easily. And we have been ramping up much more in the last couple weeks, but we aren't finished. And there are still going to be sellers who are not yet opted in or enrolled into eBay International Shipping. That does not necessarily mean that you're ineligible. So, really important to bear in mind, we are still going through the enrollment process that's going to continue over the next few weeks. It began October 1st, but it has, it's gone over the last 6 to 7 weeks. There are still a few weeks left as we opt in more and more sellers. So, it does not mean that you're ineligible. To be eligible, you can take a look at the very top of the chat. I have shared a help page that walks through some of the eligibility criteria for sellers. I'm going to put it in the chat again just so that you don't have to scroll all the way up there. But there's a very wide array of criteria that can determine eligibility. But three really crucial things. You want to make sure that you're top rated or above average seller status. You want to make sure that you're still eligible for seller protections so that you're keeping your service metrics pretty low or within a tolerable range, and that you're compliant with eBay rules and policies. So you always want to make sure that you're managing all of that. Again, if you want the more detailed look at seller eligibility criteria, that help page at the top and that I just threw in the chat there should be able to help you. In addition to requirements for sellers, there's also going to be requirements for an item to be eligible, and that is going to be based on a really wide variety of criteria as well. But at a very high level, the items have to be eligible for export. It has to be something that we're actually able to get over the border. The order cost mustn't exceed $2,000 Canadian or $2,500 Canadian for shipments to the US. Packages need to meet our size criteria. You will find that certain uh, uh, items or categories are not going to be eligible for EIS simply because we know that items within that category are not going to be able to meet that criteria. That's generally how that will be handled. For instance, tires, just given the size, the bulkiness, the difficulties that it creates in the sorting facility and the international shipping, we do not have tires eligible. And then items have to be within eligible categories. So if you take a look again at that help page, it'll walk through in greater detail all the categories where items are not available. One common question we've had from sellers in coins and paper money, especially, one of the categories that we list as not being eligible is coin stamps and paper money. That is due to difficulties actually getting items across the border uh, when we're shipping them through our sorting facility. However, there will be instances where we're able to refine those restrictions a little bit more, and we're able to find those items within those categories, coin stamps and paper money, that are eligible and that we can get over the border. And we'd like to make sure that sellers are able to access the program as much as possible. So if you are a seller in those categories, you notice, some of my listings actually do have EIS. I thought it wasn't available. That is probably because of our more refined category restrictions. But the biggest thing to take away for those sellers who haven't been added yet to the program is that that ramp is not complete. We are continuing, and that ramp is not necessarily an indictment of your account. Whether you're a top-rated seller, whether it's a very valuable account or that you've been listing for a long time. There's a really wide array of criteria. It is not just based on, whether this is a top-rated seller or this is a seller that's been around for 20 years. We've had some sellers who have, maybe a duplicate account where that smaller account was added first. Could be, the type of items that that account happened to sell in greater quantities, any sort of conditions that have helped us determine where we're going to ramp them. So, talked a little bit about enrollment. I would like to walk through at a very high level how you can use eBay International Shipping when you're building a broader international shipping strategy. So we can talk a little bit about how it works, and then we'll go over some quick do's and don'ts. Um, and if you have any more questions after that, then please feel free to throw them in the Q&A or direct them to eis at ebay.ca. Um, Eligible listings are going to be automatically added to the program. So once you're enrolled in EIS and you have opted in, you haven't opted out, which you can do through My eBay, any listings that are seen as eligible for the program are going to be added automatically. The most important thing I would note to make sure that your listings that are eligible are added and are visible across all the crucial markets is to make sure that your listing has country of origin information. That's going to be really essential for us to provide accurate customs and duties estimates, and that will impact whether or not your item is visible within markets like the United States. You're also going to want to make sure that your listing is optimized for an international audience. And that won't necessarily impact visibility, but now you're selling to global buyers. We're going to go through some best practices to make sure that your listing is well suited to that international audience. But again, a good best practice. So buyers in any participating markets are going to see your listing and it'll show up with eBay International Shipping as the shipping service. So it's from the buyer's perspective, it's a shipping service just like they would see, say, Track Packet USA with Canada Post. They'd see the service, they would see the estimated delivery dates, and they would see the cost. Uh, eBay International Shipping is just going to be another service that's going to be visible to them. The cost viewed by your buyers is just going to be a combination of your domestic shipping cost and then the calculated cost for the international leg of the shipping. Uh, Now, important to note, we do have sellers asking about this. Um, if you do already have a shipping policy in place for sellers in markets that are also participating in eBay International Shipping, let's say the US, because most Canadian sellers do have shipping policies to the US. If you already have an international shipping policy in place, eBay International Shipping does not replace that policy. Um, your buyers will still be able to see that existing shipping policy, and our default currently is structured so that in the search result page and on the view item page, the lower cost shipping option is what should show up to your buyers in markets where this item is available through an existing shipping policy. So we do have sellers concerned, especially maybe you're selling lightweight trading cards, especially stamps, those that can get over the border or go through EIS. We have sellers sometimes concerned, about the cost of international shipping when they use this program, and I'm actually able to access really, really low cost shipping specifically for my US buyers. But I would like to use this program for my other items or, to make sure that buyers in the EU or Australia can see this item as well and can purchase it. Uh, it will default to the lower cost, which is always important to remember. That might date to a more nuanced criteria in the future, but as it stands, the expected experience is low cost. If you do notice that there's something not consistent with that experience, we always appreciate you flagging any bugs, concerns, or just anything that doesn't quite look right. Always send it along to eis at ebay.ca. Throw a link in there, explain the experience that you've seen, what seems to be the issue. That can help us identify any potential problems uh, uh, earlier on and more quickly so that we can get them resolved. Uh, eBay will then automatically calculate and collect any duties, taxes, or tariffs from the buyer at checkout. They will show up as a separate line item. So you'll have item price, you'll have the shipping cost, and then you'll have any import fees. Those are going to be collected at the point of purchase. They'll be remitted by eBay. You do not have to do anything. You don't have to handle them. You don't have to remit them to the right authorities or anything like that. That'll be handled by eBay. It'll be collected at the point of purchase. It'll be specific to the location of the buyer. So once an order is made, you've had a buyer who viewed an item with eBay International Shipping available. You're going to be responsible for shipping to our hub in Mississauga. You're going to be paid out based on your domestic shipping price for that item. So you're an ebay.ca seller. You already have a domestic shipping option for all of your items. You're just going to be paid out based on that. Whatever you charge to ship to Mississauga is what you'll receive. The ship to address that you're going to receive in your order section will be to our sorting facility in Mississauga. It won't be the buyer's final address. We have had questions from sellers who were sort of confused when they were just added to eBay International Shipping. They had an existing shipping policy and they wanted to know why they just got an order to somebody in the UK or the US and the address isn't to Mississauga. That would likely be because they're still using that existing self-ship policy that you have in place. If you only want to offer eBay International Shipping to any of those buyers, just want to remove the self-ship policy from your listings, and EIS will be the only one that shows up. Otherwise, when you use a self-ship policy, it'll bypass eBay International Shipping. You will not ship to the sorting facility in Mississauga. You'll be responsible for getting your item to the buyer as you did prior to EIS. Again, you just want to package and ship your item as you would any other domestic order. You can use eBay labels, and we will be talking a bit about some specially discounted rates that are going to be available for EIS shipping, for shipping to the hub in Mississauga. That will be going live this week. So you can use eBay labels, use whatever shipping carrier you offer for your domestic things. It's what you'll be expected to use there. And then again, I would just really emphasize add your tracking. This is something we always recommend to sellers. It's something I would be doubly emphatic about when it comes to shipping with eBay International Shipping. It is more important than ever to make sure that you're adding your tracking to your first leg to that shipping to the Mississauga hub, because that'll make sure that we're able to offer all of the enhanced protections that eBay International Shipping provides. It's such a great part of the program. We would really want to make sure that you're able to take advantage of those. So be sure to add your tracking when you're shipping to the hub. Other than that, from a fulfillment perspective, this really shouldn't be seen as very different from shipping directly to a buyer who happens to be in a warehouse in Mississauga. You're using your domestic shipping policy. You're going to be paid out based on your domestic shipping price. And you're going to ship using whatever domestic carrier you normally ship with. The only difference you might notice is that in the address, there's also going to be what's called an EVTN. That's an important piece of information for us when we're at the sorting facility. But other than that, everything about the experience should kind of resemble just shipping like a domestic order. Finally, again, eBay will cover any returns or refund requests after the item arrives safely in Mississauga. Once it's scanned in, your job is done. So international returns, refunds, customs clearance, that's all handled and covered by eBay. And it's not just duties and customs collection and remittance. It's also things like packaging requirements to markets like Germany. I know we've had sellers who have pointed that out as a pain point, or they've had to turn off their German sales that they used to have because there's just a lot of confusing things about what's required of them to send items into Germany. We will cover everything involved in the international experience on your behalf. If a buyer ends up reporting an item lost or damaged in the international transit, so after it's been scanned in, you're protected. You do not have to handle the refund. eBay will handle the refund. You're protected from eBay money back guarantee cases, payment disputes, any open not as described cases within your service metrics, and then any negative or neutral feedback that are sort of related to the international leg the international shipping or handling portion of the item's journey. So, with all that in mind, just some best practices to walk through when you're thinking about eBay international shipping. Just this is not entirely comprehensive, but some important do's and don'ts to bear in mind. Again, want to make sure that you're adding country of origin as much as possible to ensure visibility across every market. I would really encourage you to think globally when you're building your listings. So I talk about, okay, selling sneakers. You want to make sure that you're adding your EU or your UK shoe sizes now within item specifics. More information is better because you're not just selling to US and Canadian buyers anymore. These are really large markets in Germany, Italy, France, the Nordic countries, Australia and ultimately over 190 countries that EIS is going to allow you to access. So try to think globally when you're doing that. Avoid really regional terms or spelling within your listings. The example I usually use is that in Saskatchewan, hooded sweatshirts are called bunny hugs, which is adorable. It's very sweet, it's very charming, but it's probably not what you want to add to your title because then only buyers in Saskatchewan and those that are aware of this fun, charming little quirk will know what you're talking about. Probably just want to call it a hoodie or a hooded sweatshirt, right? So make sure that you're thinking globally when you're building your listings and you want to price your domestic shipping competitively. Again, we'll get into some of the ways that we're working to help lower your shipping costs to the hub in Mississauga. Specifically, we'll be talking to some of our Western sellers about some of the ways that we're improving it. But want to make sure as much as possible that you're keeping your domestic shipping as price competitive and as time competitive as possible. So industry standard for handling time, usually about 2 days. And you also want to ensure your listed domestic service reflects the speed of the service that you're actually using. So I know a lot of sellers will use or at least list with regular parcel, say Canada Post regular parcel. Now that is a totally valid shipping option that you can use, but if you use eBay labels, you'll notice we don't actually offer Canada Post regular parcel because when we have commercial rates negotiated on your behalf, regular parcel effectively becomes expedited parcel. And that means that it's a faster shipping time with insurance for our sellers. So we want to make sure that they're accessing that insurance. Now, if you're offering Canada Post regular parcel, but you're pretty routinely using expedited parcel because the cost is the same as expedited parcel on eBay labels. In fact, expedited would be cheaper on eBay labels than regular parcel is at the counter. Make sure that you're reflecting that in your listings. Make sure that the investments and time and work that's going into providing faster shipping, make sure that's reflected and that you're able to benefit from the better conversion that provides. So if you're offering economy shipping for your domestic, but you typically use expedited, expedited light, or UPS standard or FedEx, well, you might be missing out on some of the advantages that come with that faster shipping time. So I'd really recommend that your listed domestic shipping service reflect the reality of the services that you're using. Want to make sure that you're embedding estimated duties into your international shipping costs. And that is as opposed to embedding estimated duties into your item price if you have those existing policies. I can talk about that in more detail in just a moment. And then finally, you want to upload tracking to all your shipments to the hub. I've mentioned before, it's more important than ever to make sure that you're uploading tracking. Um, Now, in regard to estimated duties, when we talk about the biggest don't, the most important thing to avoid doing when you're talking about your international shipping strategy is to embed those duties estimates into your item price because your item price is what's going to be seen by buyers in Canada, in the US, in Germany, the UK, Italy, France, the Netherlands, Australia, and over 190 markets soon. So that's going to make your listing less competitive in those markets if you're embedding estimated duties specifically from one market. So if you're mostly concerned with the US, because that's traditionally been where most of your international buyers are, okay, you've used a delivered duties paid service previously over the last couple months, and you've wanted to embed your estimated duties somewhere. Do that into the international shipping cost. Maybe build a flat rate shipping cost for your international shipping so that you can reflect it there. Try to avoid adding it to your item price two big reasons. Again, I've mentioned price competitiveness. It's also going to make sure that your fees are more accurately reflected. So you don't want to make your item less competitive even to US buyers because they're going to be charged customs and duties by eBay based on that item price where you've already embedded your estimated customs and duties. But also your fee structure is going to be based on for these international sales, the lowest domestic shipping price available. So when you increase your item price, rather than increasing the international shipping costs, you are ultimately increasing your own fees. Um, don't fill out customs forms yourself because that would be time poorly spent when you're using eBay International Shipping. Don't panic over HS or HTS codes. We're able to do everything involved in the customs clearance with the country of origin information and with the item specifics that you provide. And then finally, don't rely on abbreviations for your title. Now, sometimes it's impossible to avoid, or it's a universally understood abbreviation, but abbreviations can sometimes not translate well when they're being viewed from different markets. So if we're trying to build a more internationally recognizable listing, just be mindful of the fact that this is going to be something viewed by sellers around the world, not just in Canada and the US. But biggest thing that I would take away from this, when you're starting to build your international shipping policy, if you're maintaining a self-ship policy where you're using a delivered duties paid service, try your best to make sure that you're embedding those estimated duties into the shipping cost, not the item price. Keeps you competitive with other listings, keeps you competitive around the world, and it ensures that your fees will be lower. So now I get to talk a little bit about what's coming up next, and then we'll jump right into our Q&A. So this is a very new program for Canada. It hasn't even fully rolled out to all of our sellers. And so what you're looking at right now is kind of the base model. There's going to be a lot more opportunities for improvement. We're going to be finding new ways to make it a better experience for our sellers. We're going to be finding new ways to make shipping times and costs more competitive for buyers. So there's a lot of opportunities, and we're really excited over the next few months. I'm not going to be able to provide clear timelines for a lot of these improvements or new features, but we can let you know that these are things coming down the pipes. Um, this one, I actually can provide more of a clear timeline because it is coming this week. Very happy to announce this is our first time announcing it. We're rolling out specially discounted rates for Canada Post shipping to the hub. So that's coming this week. We're going to have lower rates when you use eBay labels, up to 60% off or even more. The equivalent using Canada Post's solutions for small business. And that comes with all the benefits of Canada Post's expedited parcel. You can get your tracking automatically uploaded, so it's easier to access the protections available through EIS. You can use QR code shipping so that you don't need to print anything at home. You can just take it to Canada Post and have that QR code scanned, ship it out that way. So you're going to be reducing your shipping rates to the hub with some of our most competitive rates yet. So keep an eye out over the next few days when that is fully rolled out. Some other improvements to the program that, again, I can't provide a clear timeline for this. These things are going to be rolling out in the near future, but just so that you're aware that these are things that we're working on. eBay International Shipping right now is only available for listings on ebay.ca. We are fully aware how many sellers in Canada have traditionally listed on ebay.com, either because that's how they registered years ago before there was an ebay.ca, or to make sure that they're able to access those US customers more easily. A lot of sellers have always had ebay.com listings. A lot of sellers in the very recent past, in the last few months or the last year, have started transferring over to ebay.ca. We are building a solution that would allow sellers, Canadian sellers listing on ebay.com to access eBay International Shipping. It's not available yet. I can't provide a clear timeline on when that's going to be available, but it is a priority for the team. We recognize how important it is for sellers. I wish I could say, it's this date, but I would be instantly proven wrong. Um, Second thing we're working on, we're finding enhancements to improve the shipping costs seen by buyers and make eBay International Shipping more competitive, um, both for our buyers and for our sellers. Obviously, for our sellers, we've got specially negotiated rates for shipping to the EIS hub. Um, I think actually one of the sellers very early on when he learned I was from Calgary mentioned you should have thrown the sorting facility into Calgary. Um, we are definitely aware from Western sellers, in particular, that just the geographic realities of Canada make having that one single hub kind of difficult to navigate at times. Um, Mississauga was selected as our first hub because of its centrality within Canada, its access to things like international airports that allow us to access those international markets more easily, and because it's a major population center. But Western sellers have reached out already, and we were definitely aware when we were going into this that that would mean some additional challenges for shipping to Mississauga, something that Western sellers absolutely do. But if they want to keep their shipping times competitive or keep their shipping costs really competitive, they want to make sure that they have the opportunity to maybe ship a little closer. And I can't provide any timelines. I can't provide any promises as to the exact date or exact location. But what I can point you to is our frequently asked questions page on Seller Center for eBay International Shipping. You will find something related to where is the eBay International Sorting Facilities hub within our FAQs. The operative term to look at when you're reading that is that it starts out with to start. To start eBay International Shipping, the hub is located in Mississauga. So we are working on solutions to support Western sellers. Finally, there is going to be a drop-off location at the hub. This is a question we heard from a lot of sellers. The GTA being as populated as it is, the hub being, relatively close to a lot of our sellers. They've been interested in some sort of solution that would just allow them to drop off directly. Um, that does require a little more work to make sure that there's sort of a seamless and secure system where we can also track those orders, where our sellers are aware of the hours where they can drop it off, and where we've done all the physical arrangements required to actually support a pretty seamless drop-off experience. Again, not something I can provide a timeline for, but it is something that we're working on, that we're going to make sure is available at our hubs. Finally, I do want to just call out here. Like I said, this is a really nascent program. This is the base model. We have a lot of improvements to come. We're really excited for the ways that we can improve it, and we would love any help that you can offer just by letting us know parts of the experience that aren't working for you, parts of the experience that you think could be improved, ideas that you might have, questions, concerns. Reach out to eis at ebay.ca. Um, if there are issues, if specifically, if there's something I've described here, you see in your listing and you think that's not quite consistent with what I heard, something seems a little off here, don't hesitate to reach out. Send us a link to your listing that can help us expedite the troubleshooting process, describe the issue, maybe share a screenshot or two to let us know, hey, something seems off with this listing. Something doesn't seem to be working as expected with eBay International Shipping based on how you've described it here. Let us know because that'll give us more opportunities to troubleshoot it quickly and to get potential issues resolved, or explain to you why it is the expected experience and how you can maybe work that into your broader strategy. So really, really don't hesitate to reach out to EIS at ebay.ca. Again, I'm going to be hosting more of these over the next few weeks and months. We have many hundreds of participants at this one. Clearly, there's a lot of interest, which is awesome to hear. So we're going to have more opportunities for Q&A sessions, and we will be running AMAs through community.ebay.ca, where you can have maybe more detailed questions or experiences answered directly by myself or other members of the team. So that gives us right on time, about 20 minutes to go through some of the questions that you've had over the course of this session. Um, so we do have, wow, hundreds of questions, which is great to see. We've been answering as many as we can within the Q&A section. If you do have questions, try to throw them in the Q&A, not in the chat, because again, we have hundreds and hundreds within the chat. It might make us more difficult, it might make it more difficult uh, to uh, to track where your questions are. Um, What criteria are used to show our listings on .ca to .com? I have many items not visible that are not in the restricted list as per the documentation. Um, there's going to be a really, really wide array of factors. So it could be country of origin. We would really want to make sure that you're adding the country of origin. That's the first thing that we've noticed. Sellers that are concerned, hey, my listing isn't showing up to buyers in the US. Typically, it's because it's missing country of origin, but not always. Sometimes it's the item price, right? If it's going over a certain price threshold, we're not able to get it over the border due to the customs limitations. And sometimes it'll be just eligibility for uh, export from Canada into the US or to different markets. So if you do have any of those concerns, if it doesn't seem to be related to what I've just described, can reach out to us at eis@ebay.ca, and we can hopefully work with you there. Will we have access to the presentation materials? So we are going to have a link up on YouTube with this session, so you can access it there. Might find a way to make sure that these slides are available to sellers. So I will follow up there. But again, Barbara, we will make sure that we're running more of these over the next little while, and we're running AMAs. So reach out directly. Maybe reach out to eis@ebay.ca if you want us to send the slides a little more quickly. Um, do I need to add weight and dimensions to access EIS? No, you do not. So eBay International Shipping is going to use a wide array of criteria based on your item, the listing, the item specifics. All of the data that we have available in the back end of your item can help inform sort of our calculation for the international shipping. So again, it's going to be your domestic shipping cost plus our estimation of the shipping cost based on all of that information that's available on your listing. Sometimes if it seems to be really off, if you're running a few test listings and the shipping seems way too high for what I'm selling here, again, you can let us know. That always helps because there's always opportunities to refine our criteria for estimating those shipping costs. You don't need to add the weight and dimensions, but it can also provide a more accurate cost estimate. So rather than having us rely on the item specifics and all these characteristics in your listings, if you add weight and dimensions as your listing, we will be able to provide a much more accurate estimate. But it doesn't make it ineligible if you don't have the weight and dimensions available. It will still be available on eBay International Shipping. When shipping to the International Shipping Hub, Brianna asks, are you able to send smaller things via untracked letter mail? We have had this question a lot. You are able to use letter mail. It's not advised. And particularly for higher value items, it's very strongly not advised because you aren't going to be able to access the same level of protections. Um, things can get mixed up when things enter the sorting facility, when things enter, Canada Post sorting facilities, there's always that risk. But even when it comes into the hub, if we have a lot of untracked packages or untracked items, it definitely makes it harder to provide those protections and it's higher risk. So yes, you can use letter mail. It's not advisable. We would recommend using a track service as often as possible, but recognize that, there are certain instances where maybe it's just a lower value item, where, the cost of domestic shipping would just be too high, to be price competitive. In those cases, yes, you can use international shipping. It's just not recommended. What we would recommend using is some of our negotiated rates for lightweight services that we are rolling out with Canada Post. You will notice even some improvements on the expedited light service. over the next few weeks and months. So, um, a great opportunity there to access tracked shipping through eBay labels. It's going to be automatically tracked, and then uh, you know benefit from all the protections at a lower cost. Wow, lots of questions. Um, Just wondering if I keep my shipping policies the same and ship to the depot, or do I need to change my shipping policy? And if so, what do I change to? That is Ryan. Ryan, you can keep your shipping policies all of the same. So if it's an EIS order, it's just going to be that your domestic shipping policy applies. So from a fulfillment perspective, as soon as you get an order through eBay International Shipping, where the buyer has selected that option, uh, you are going to ship to the hub in Mississauga as though you're shipping to a buyer who happens to be in Mississauga. You can use eBay labels, ship however you normally do for your domestic transactions. You don't need to update your listings. If you have exclusions, this is probably important to address. If you had previous exclusions that you had set up, maybe even just temporarily, when EIS opts you in, it will override those exclusions. If you then go in and add those exclusions again, they will apply to your eBay international shipping orders as well. So if you had excluded countries, we know a lot of sellers maybe did that because it was too difficult to ship to those countries, but now that EIS is available, they're happy to ship to those countries. So EIS will override them, but you can go back in and change it back if there are concerns there. How do I know that I have already been enrolled in the program? So that's from Bettina. If you have already been enrolled in the program, you should have received an email to your inbox or to your My eBay messages letting you know. Maybe it showed up in your junk folder or it was filtered out. So if you didn't get that email, a way that you can check is to go to your shipping preferences via My eBay or via Seller Hub. There will be a toggle at the top of your shipping preferences that'll show you whether or not you've been enrolled. If you haven't been enrolled, that toggle will not be available yet. Uh, I got an email stating that I'm enrolled, but I don't see anything about that when I list an item. Um, Provided you already have all of the item information, the country of origin information, uh, during the listing flow, EIS should be displayed as a shipping service um, if you change the ship to locations. But there should be a section of the listing form with an EIS banner as you list. The only way I can get reimbursed for shipping to Mississauga Hub is to raise my price, or am I missing something? That's from Johnny. Yes. So again, your reimbursement for shipping to the Mississauga hub will be your domestic shipping cost. So if you charge $10 for shipping anywhere within Canada, a $10 flat rate, that's going to be what you're paid out. And you have a $100 item, $10 flat rate shipping, $110. So that $10 is going to be what's paid out to you from eBay to support your shipping to the EIS hub. If you charge $15 to ship to Mississauga, that's what will reflect as well. And it'll be reflected in the shipping cost that's shown to your buyer when they see eBay International Shipping as a shipping service. So it'll be embedded into that final cost. So you will be reimbursed for your shipping to the Mississauga hub the same way you're reimbursed or paid out for any domestic transaction. I got enrolled last week and made a few sales during the weekend. Can I ship all orders to the hub in one package, or do I have to ship all individually? That's from Guillaume. That's a really good question. You will actually have to ship them individually. We can't support uh, placing multiple orders in one package because we're not going to be able to track those orders to their independent international destinations. Do we need to enter specific info to ensure you calculate the correct duties or taxes for the USA? Um, Enter the required item specifics, anything required to make sure that your listing is live, plus country of origin. That's the really specific most important thing to add for customs or duties and taxes calculation specifically for the US. It's country of origin. Other than that, we're going to use size, the location, the category, all of the information that's available on your listing already, alongside that country of origin to come to an estimate and collect the duties and taxes from your buyer. Again, this is probably part of the experience where if you're noticing something that doesn't seem quite right, um, reach out to us at EIS at ebay.ca. Send us that listing, send us a screenshot, say, this based on what I've calculated, this doesn't seem quite consistent. What might be the issue here? Again, we can either point you in the right direction, usually based on what the category might be, or we can address the issue that you've raised with us. Are items that require FDA review ineligible? I have dishes, butter spreads, etc., that are not visible to US buyers right now. That's from Virgil. Items that require FDA review. So again, dishware would be a really good example. Unfortunately, we're not able to support with eBay international shipping because of the additional shipping hurdles that can create. Mauricio asks, if an item has been shipped from Alberta to the Ontario facility, the customer will pay the amount that covers this portion within Canada. Do I, as a seller, pay that amount? Um, yeah, the customer will pay a combined portion. They'll just see it as one shipping cost. Whatever the calculated international shipping, that's from eBay's end, plus your domestic shipping costs, whatever you charge to ship to a buyer located in Mississauga. Um, One thing I might point out, uh, with these reduced rates specific to shipping to the EIS hub through eBay labels, there might be a bit of a gap between what you typically charge for domestic shipping within Canada and the shipping prices that you're actually able to access for EIS orders where you're shipping to the hub. One tool that might be helpful to make sure that you can maybe reduce those international shipping costs, make your items even more price competitive, if that's something you're concerned about, consider using rate tables. Now, it doesn't get as granular as we would like. It's maybe a solution we would like to work on in the future where we can have a rate table that's specific to the sorting facility. But it will allow you to set a specific rate for urban zones within Ontario. So maybe it's a little bit lower. If you're setting flat rates, you can reflect the average shipping cost now for your EIS orders. So rate tables might be a helpful solution for your domestic rate tables to make sure that you're reflecting that cheaper shipping cost that you're going to be able to access for your EIS orders. So, country of origin dictates where the item is seen. For example, a jacket made in Croatia, does this mean that EU buyers will see it? That's a good question, Gil. So, when I talk about country of origin really impacting the visibility, the main thing is whether or not it is missing that country of origin information. So that's basically my way of saying if it doesn't have country of origin information, we're not able to estimate customs or duties for the US. So if it's missing that COO, that country of origin, then your US buyer is not going to be able to see it. A jacket made in Croatia, provided it meets all of the other requirements for shipping into the EU. That can be things like price. It can be the certain category restrictions. There's a really large array. But provided it meets all those as well, EU buyers will definitely see that. But country of origin information is not going to dictate at all times. The specific country of origin won't change where buyers can see it. If the buyer returns an item and the hub takes care of it, do I get the item back? What if I want it back? So Chad, that's a really good question. I know we just kind of describe it as, yeah, we've got it covered. We're going to take care of it, which is kind of vague. But no, you won't receive the item back. You're going to keep the funds from the sale. from your perspective, the sale is complete. The funds you've been paid out for that sale are complete. eBay will receive any returns, and we have relationships to liquidate or handle the item afterwards. Um, so you will not get the item back. You will just keep the funds from the sale. Will we be charged a percentage of only the shipment to Mississauga or on the full shipping charge internationally? So this is from an anonymous attendee. Will we be charged a percentage? So I'm assuming you're talking about final value fees, which is a great question. Are we going to be charged final value fees on the shipment to Mississauga or on the shipping charge that our international buyers see? So if my shipping to Mississauga is $6, but the fully baked in international shipping charge for eBay international shipping is, say, $14. Am I going to be charged final value fees on the $14 or on the $6? Uh, in that case, it would be the $6. So your final value fees are going to be based on your domestic shipping costs, not on the fully baked in eBay international shipping price. Again, that's why we would really, really, really strongly emphasize not embedding your duties or customs estimates for US sales into your item price. Embed that if you're going to continue a direct shipping policy, a self-ship policy, as we describe it to the US. If you're going to continue doing that, just make sure that if you're going to embed those estimates, embed them into a flat rate shipping, so that you are not making your item less competitive and you're appreciating those lower fees because it's going to be based on your lowest domestic shipping policy always. I just enrolled yesterday, but until then, I had international shipping shut off on my shipping preferences while I was waiting for this to roll out. Do I need to update my shipping preferences somehow? That's from Matt. No, you do not need to update your shipping preferences. If you had international shipping removed, then you can continue to use eBay International Shipping for any of your eligible listings. Um, I joined late, unfortunately. Will the recording be made available afterwards? It absolutely will. It'll be posted to eBay Canada's YouTube channel, unless I say something really, really dumb in the last few minutes to ruin it for everyone. We will also, of course, be hosting more webinars like this. Might not get an email about it, but we will certainly be posting about any future webinars on the eBay community. So community.ebay.ca. So again, if you're interested, you've missed something, or you want to hear another section again, this will be available on YouTube, and we're going to be doing future sessions just like this one. I sell in USD on ebay.com. I have been invited, but how do I know if the international program is going to show on my listings? So if your listings are added on ebay.com right now, then they would not show eBay international shipping. It would only be those listings that you've added on ebay.ca. We're working on a solution for ebay.com, but I can't provide a timeline for that, unfortunately. Um, so when you do have ebay.ca listings as well, you can also just take a little test if you want to take a look at your own listing and see how it's presenting to buyers in different countries. You can change details for your shipping location and enter different countries, see what the estimated shipping price is going to be, see if it's surfacing correctly, and then let us know if there are any issues there. Corbin asks, for sellers with lower dollar items that are sent via letter mail, say $10 or less, uh, if an international buyer purchases this item, we are supposed to send track to the hub, but even with expedited light, that makes shipping about $8 tracked. So can I continue to use letter mail? Yes, absolutely. For those low value orders, of course, you absolutely can use letter mail. Again, there's going to be more risk involved. There's more risk involved in any transaction where you're using untracked letter mail, but in this case, I would emphasize that the risk is even greater, and the relative benefits that you would get from tracked shipping are much, much greater when it's an eBay international shipping transaction. So, um, whenever humanly possible, using that track service, um, adding your tracking. If you're going to make the investment in a track service, make sure that you're benefiting from all those benefits, benefiting from all those protections from that investment. Really, really want to emphasize add it as much as possible, but it isn't a requirement. You can use lettermail. So if we remove all of our shipping policies, we will only have EIS by default. Yes, that is if you want to only include eBay International Shipping, if you don't want any self-ship policies to be live, you don't want to ship directly to any international customers anymore, simply maintain a domestic shipping policy. Your listings will still be available through eBay International Shipping. You don't have to change your exclusions. And I would not recommend changing blocked countries or exclusions. You don't have to do that, and that would potentially be the wrong way to go about it. Simply remove your international shipping policies, and then it will default to only using eBay International Shipping for all of your purchases. Um, just as an example, if I have an item and I have a self-ship policy to the United States, and that self-ship policy is $8, and I use TrackPacket USA. I've been added to eBay International Shipping. Now, that same item, if it uses eBay International Shipping, is going to be $16 for shipping to the United States. Then what shows up to a US buyer is going to be that TrackPacket USA self-ship policy. Now, they can, in the checkout experience, choose eBay International Shipping or the self-ship policy, but what defaults in search and on the view item page is going to be the lower cost option. Um, for buyers in the UK, though, where I don't have a policy, say, I have no shipping policy, they will see an EIS estimate and they'll be able to purchase the item and it'll go through the EIS flow. I will ship to Mississauga, it'll be sorted, it'll be shipped to them from there. If I have a shipping policy for that same item to Germany, and my shipping costs for that self-ship policy are $30, but EIS costs are 25, what shows up in search and on the view item page is going to be EIS. So it's going to be driven by the ship cost for the time being. Uh, Andrea asks, what would happen if there was a mistake, for instance, in the country of origin? That will definitely negatively impact your conversion through eBay International Shipping moving forward, since it will show the wrong duties cost. So we want to make sure that we're adding as much accurate information as possible so that we can continue to use this service. Um, so very important to make sure that you are using those or in adding accurate information. Finally, one from Marcus. Do we need to buy eBay labels to ship to the hub? No, you do not. No, you can ship to our hub, whichever way works for you, whichever way you usually ship domestically, you can ship to the hub in Mississauga that way. You don't need to access eBay labels. I think you will find in the very near future that eBay labels will be the most competitive shipping cost or among the most competitive shipping costs to ship to the hub, but it is not necessary. You can use whatever way you normally use. Just treat it like a normal domestic order. Now we are a little bit over time, and I apologize. We've had like hundreds and hundreds of questions and comments, and I really, really appreciate them. Again, we are going to continue to do these. This will be available on YouTube. We are going to have future webinars. They're going to be promoted on community.ebay.ca, future opportunities for Q&As. And you can reach out to eis@ebay.ca if there's anything here that hasn't been answered or hasn't been answered to your satisfaction. Let us know by emailing eis@ebay.ca. We'd be happy to answer your questions there. Apologies to those who we weren't able to answer, and best of luck to any of you who are just getting started on the program. With that in mind, thank you everyone so much. Best of luck with this upcoming holiday season, and do let us know any questions or comments through eis@ebay.ca. Thank you.